I can't tell you how excited we are. The new season's upon us. We did a whole lot of changes over the summer, a lot of new additions. Really, I think we addressed a lot of needs. I think we spent the summer really investing time with our players, and it was a huge sacrifice. I can't thank Wes and his staff enough for the time we spent. We'll touch on that during this session, but I couldn't be more excited. I'm grateful for what's ahead. Grateful for all the work that Wes has put in, the players have put in, and can't wait to get going.
Yeah, it's a very unique situation. We've had a lot of movement over the last probably 8 months, and so it's a new team, but it's the same. Very familiar feel to it. Got to give Tommy and his staff a ton of credit, just as far as hitting through the draft, free agency. I think we really had an opportunity to upgrade, strengthen, and bolster our roster. So I'm extremely excited about where we are right now as a group, and a lot of challenges that lie ahead. But certainly something we all embrace and look forward to. You know what? It's 2 points. It's been the first time that I think a lot of guys have had a full offseason. Think about Rouie and Denny, just because of their young careers, the norm has not been the norm. So having this stretch of time is going to feel a little different. It's unique to them. I think for us, it gives us a little bit more balance from a staff perspective. There's a normal workflow. Obviously, we want to play deep into the summer. We want to have short off seasons. That's the goal. But the way it ended in its own way, I think it gave us a different opportunity to get out, spend time with players, reevaluate things from the top down. What we like, don't like, things we want to change or alter. And it gave us a little bit more time to peel back more layers. I think that's going to help us as we get into preseason and the training camp.
I think to your point, we had spent 18 months cramming 3 seasons into prior to this. So now this summer I think it hits normal cadence. And normal to us is not necessarily normal to outside world, but getting players back with their national team. Watching �𝗓𝗟𝗓𝗪 and what he did with Latvia qualifying. Hopefully they have to get one more win and they qualify for the World Cup next summer. And what Danny was able to do with 𝗎𝗢𝗪𝗏𝗪, what Mike Williams was able to go with Team USA down to Brazil with Craig Sword. Those are normal things on the calendar too. We hadn't been I hadn't been to 𝗎𝗢𝗪𝗏𝗪 since 2017. They hadn't existed. That they had to take it off the calendar. So those things are normal too. But I think what we were able to have here, very unique. Really, since May, we've had players in the gym and coaches working with them. We had some great additions. We'll talk about the trades, the free agency, the draft, but also as a staff, we have another coach that's made a big impression on everybody. So I think, to your point, getting back to normal is a great thing. And now accelerating the schedule, we're sprinting to the starting line. We're starting early. And this trip that's ahead of us is a fantastic opportunity for us as an organization to play Golden State, the world champs, play them in Japan, and the opportunity to go and experience that culture. I think it's fantastic. Obviously, we have a player that's looking forward to going home as well. So there's a lot of good stories.
Well, bottom line, so far camp. So there are a lot of moving pieces, a lot of logistics to maneuver, but we still have to take full advantage of those days. Factor in the flights and how do you normalize when you get back. Our medical team's done a terrific job. Our operations people have kept us informed of all the things we have to do. There's some things we're going to want to do. I think Louis excited for the opportunity to kind of give us an insider look at his home country. Some things that are important to him. We want to take full advantage of that and experience all of what Japan has to offer, culturally, historically. I'm a big fan of cuisine, so I'm looking forward to that dynamic. But we can't lose sight of this is still a business trip, and we're there for part of training camp. So we have to take full advantage of those days and get as much in as we can. Well, actually, I've seen some of the immediate impact already. He's a connector, and he's a guy that I'm not sure how, but around the league, everyone knows 𝗦𝗢𝗖𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗏, and he does a terrific job of ingratiating himself, beyond just between the lines. He's obviously a point guard at the heart. I think he's accelerated his offensive game over the last few years. That showed, going from a G League player to, roster guy into the rotation and eventually started. So, it's a great story, but, he's a guy that deserves credit. He's earned and carved out his own way. But he prides himself on running the team. And I think that's going to be a huge benefit to this group. Because he's going to know what the group needs at the right time.
And how do you see Bradley Beal helping facilitate that?
Well, they're going to play off each other, and I don't want to lose sight of, guys like DeLon Wright, like 𝗦𝗢𝗢𝗑. There's a lot of pieces that gives us the flexibility to put a different group out there, different pairings. And still, there's not going to be a ton of drop off. That's the most exciting piece. It gives us a lot of roster balance. Take one, take the other.
I think I'll say this. When you go on the trip that we're going on, it's just time intensive. So there's no way around that. And if we spend time dwelling on, okay, this is going to really be an awful thing, then that's what's going to be the message. I think we're treating it as, hey, this is a heck of an experience. We've really taken great precaution in terms of the times that we're going to practice, what we're going to eat, when we're going to sleep, even waking people up on laying down to that kind of detail. At the end of the day, people are going to have to adjust. And we understand that. We know when we come back, it's going to take some time. We're going to really, to your point, kind of ease back in. And we have two preseason games when we get back to kind of figure that back end out. But these first two games, we have 3 practices before essentially we play. So that kind of resonates in our head. That's why it was so important after Labor Day. This gym's been through, had some opportunities to get some runs, guys getting their legs underneath them. We're learning as we go. Fortunately, we have somebody that goes back and forth to Japan frequently, and we're tapping into Rui's knowledge on how to adjust as an athlete. When we get older, DA, we got all different things we got to do. But young guys, Rui can school them up a little bit. So looking forward to that. I think we're in a good place. The medical staff's done a great job.
Yeah, just the medical staff down from the practice times, I think the sleep times, the nutritionists as far as when to eat, what to eat. I think they're all trying to find the best practice to help mitigate any lag or lasting effects, but there's no way around it. It is what it is, and I think guys are going to be excited for the opportunity. Obviously, anytime you play the defending national NBA championship, it's like that should get your juices going a bit. And to do that in a foreign country, I think that's it's a great opportunity.
Just kind of to follow up on, hi everybody, nice tan, Wes, on DA's question, but what kind of factors are in place to keep Rui from, or at least kind of help mitigate the burnout that he talked a little bit about last season coming off of the Olympics and everything?
Sure. I'll say this, that they've done a great job. His management staff with his agency has already done most of the legwork of getting all the necessary photo shoots, anything that's going to happen out of the way so he can get there and focus on basketball. Certainly there'll be some exchange and get an opportunity to get in front of his fans and everything. But I think he's in a great place. I think he's looking forward to going back. I think the time that we're on the ground, essentially, there's not going to be a whole lot of opportunity to do anything other than basketball. So that's a good thing. He's looking forward to seeing people, reconnecting with the community, but just being in front of those fans. I think that's really the big coming out for him. It'll be the first time he's been back since the Olympics. So that's that'll take care of itself. I think the photo shoots, the interviews, all that stuff, a lot of it's going to get done ahead of time. And I salute people that have taken that advantage because it'll be a far better interview here than he will be there, I guarantee.
I don't want to answer for the medical staff on that, but right now it looks great. So I can tell you what the eyes say, but
yeah, tell me what you say.
well, I think he'll be ready, and I don't want to jump the gun. I think once again, it'd be great to have everyone full strength to do what we need to do, but and I think we also have to be smart and make sure that we're attacking this thing strategically and we're measured with everything we do. It's great to have guys out there for 2 preseason games, but it's a long season and we want to make sure it's a long season. So I'm not going to get overly consumed with who's available, how much guys are going to play. We do only have 4 preseason games, so we need to make sure that certain groups get minutes on the floor together. They develop that on-court synergy sooner than later, but I don't think we need to rush into that or worry about that on this trip.
I would add the the connectivity these guys have had this summer, it's been wonderful. They're very familiar with each other, but to your point, Brad, Coos, and KP really didn't play together at all last year. So taking this opportunity in September to do a lot of things, not just on the floor, but off the floor has been great. And, you know, I look back 2 years ago, we were in the playoffs against Philly. There's 3 guys that played in that series that are still on this team, right? And the 2 guys that didn't really play, Danny was injured, and Anthony Gill was spot minutes. But Gaff, Rui, Bradley, that's all that's left. So it is a new team. It's not new to us because we're familiar with these guys. They've been around, but they're new to each other, a lot of these players. And I think they're going to blend well. I think one person not to sleep on, it's just been a fantastic veteran presence for us. And 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗏 gives his ability to bring people together. We got a lot of good connectors. I think there's bookends, and I just kind of brag about these guys for a minute, but they're really high character people that love to be here, love to represent DC. Can't wait to get in front of the fans and show that this is new, that this is a new team. And we're excited. I think I can't go back enough and say the time that Wes's staff spent away from their families to go be with these players on their turf, going to 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗏. Wes is, you know, he's getting first name basis with a lot of pilots, and
I didn't travel in.
yeah, it's amazing when you look back because I realize what we're asking. You know, you go from the draft to free agency to summer league, and you kind of want to get some downtime. That's when we were really ramping up even more. And the players all got together in LA, went out, saw them, and they're in action. You know, we had 14 of our 16 guys were there. You know, Denny and KP were playing with their national team. Everybody else was there. I think that speaks well to what these players want to accomplish this season. It's their team. We can do the best job possible. We're here to be the guardrails, but ultimately this team, it's up to them what they want to do and go out and get it, because I think they have the same mind, same spirit, and the competitive gene. That's really what Wes has put on this team from day one. You're going to come in and everybody's going to compete for minutes. Everybody's going to compete every day in practice. That's how you're going to play, and that's a result-oriented deal. You know, I don't think anything's handed out this year.
Well, I mean, from a holistic perspective, the big takeaway was, you know, we got to be more efficient with everything we do. You know, obviously between the lines, we want to play more efficiently, both sides of the ball. We're prioritizing our players' time. You know, whether it's, you know, film, practices, and just really come to the chase. Where now that we've had the vast majority of the, you know, under our belt for a year, some guys are new and some guys are familiar with, you know, my style of play. We can fast track things a bit. And I think with that efficiency is, you know, prioritizing the most important things every day, and making sure our guys understand there's going to be a certain standard. That standard cannot dip. And it's incumbent upon myself and the staff, but also they got to take ownership of it within the locker room. I think once they do that, we'll really see a different team. Well, I think it's huge. I mean, it's anytime you have a working relationship with you know, 2 guys who not only have experience, but have played well in meaningful games, that goes a long way. I think that rubs off onto the group. They're going to bring a level of confidence in those situations, which I think will help uplift the rest of the room, as will 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗏 and 𝗙𝗢𝗏. Both guys have kind of been through the battles, so to speak. So I just think if you look at it, you know, all the guys, you know, we haven't even touched Johnny Gates, a young guy who, you know, he's going to play for minutes this year. But and all those acquisitions have helped deepen our roster. So it's a really good, great opportunity to see where this team can go.
One thing I would add is basketball is a small town. Essentially, everybody knows everybody. It does take a while for players to get familiar, but even just on this roster, this summer we acquired Bonnie Morris, who grew up with Coos since second grade. DeLon Wright, who played with Kyle again. They were in prep school together, Utah together. Will, being from this area, very familiar. He's been in our building in summers previous to this. I just think the players all know each other. I think meshing on the floor, the biggest thing is to explain what's expected and give them time and patience to have the repetitions together. But by and large, it's basketball. These guys have known each other. Most of them have known each other their whole basketball careers. So it's going to be pretty fun to see them get together. I always focus forward, but I really genuinely believe that the group of guys that we've assembled for this year, plus what the coaching staff has done, it's remarkable to see. I sleep better at night knowing that each position has a little bit more depth to it. Guys with starter experience, they're coming off the bench. That just gives you a little bit more of a good sense of where we're headed. Every season, you're right. Everybody's undefeated. Everybody thinks these things. But I've seen enough in my years to really know when you panic going into camp because you're missing this or someone's hurt. Right now, so far, it's been really chill on that end. But seeing the growth of our young guys, adding the better people, knowing that Bradley's healthy, knowing that KP and what he can do, watching Kyle as he gets ready to take another step in his career, it gives us a great sense, great feeling.